have been telling our audience for 18 and a half years that this world, the governments, the corporations, the media, are controlled at the top. Not everybody that's in those institutions, but at the top, there are people who are avowed satanic, Luciferian devil worshippers. And I know that sounds extreme and bizarre to people, but every day that goes by, the more I'm convinced that I've been right all these years, that there is a deeply embedded satanic cult that has gained control of powerful institutions in this country and other nations. You can't escape it.
Fallen angels, or as the book of Enoch calls them, the watchers, and their offspring, the giants, are gods over mankind. And that's how they set themselves up. That's how they ruled. You look in Sumerian, Babylonian, you look in even Egyptian mythology and history. It's all, and Sebastian was telling me that over even, Indian and the Vedic cultures and some of that Far Eastern stuff. I've seen it in Chinese culture that I've done some study in. Every ancient culture has a story that the gods came down, gave them information, and then left and said they were going to return. Now, you see that specifically in the Sumerian tablets of a group of descended beings or aliens or ancient gods, whatever it is, however they want to present themselves, call themselves the Anunnaki. We see that in the Bible of the sons of Anak, A-N-U-K. Things we're doing all the way back then. And it instilled within culture this mindset of what today you can consider Luciferianism. I'm not going to have you repeat that word. But that's what we're going to go into today. Let me first just kind of recap a little bit about this. So this is Enoch 15, verse 8. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh, so in other words, fallen angels and women, shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. So ultimately what this is saying is that what we now know of as demons and evil spirits are the disembodied spirits of the dead giants, which are the offspring of the fallen angels. Now, if you don't believe that, that's fine. I'm not trying to teach this where you believe that. I'm just giving you insight from a book that has validity, that presents some information that brings us some understanding. The understanding specifically being about how do these things work? What's their goal? And how do we stand against them? Amen? So you've seen all throughout history, if you look at these ancient gods and kings, they have tried to rule and dominate mankind to the point of human sacrifice. There was a lot of human sacrifice to the ancient gods. It always seems to come down to the slaughter of babies. Now, I'm not saying that we have Nephilim in our government that is presiding over abortion, but I am saying that there is still a demonic influence in the way that people think. Now, whether they know that they are participating in the slaughter of humans to bring energy and power to dark forces or not, they're pawns. People that believe that type of stuff and support abortion, you're validating something bigger than just a liberal mindset that a woman should have choice over her body. There's more to it than that. There is a history of child sacrifice to ancient gods and kings. So, it always goes deeper. And then here their strategy is revealed. And those spirits of the giants, so in other words, what we now know of as demons or evil spirits, afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And we talked a little bit about last week as an offense. If you're offended at someone, you don't, so the devil, the enemy, has been stripped of power and authority. Nothing that you ever do gives authority to the enemy, but it conditions your mind and your heart to be receptive to deception, right? It's like hypnosis. The way that the enemy works now is a lot like hypnosis. In other words, you become open to. You ever seen hypnotism? Honestly, you ever seen one of those comedian hypnotist nights? Raise your hand if you have. Nobody's ever seen that? Yeah. And I mean, like, these hypnotists will literally hypnotize people to believe that they're either stuck to a chair, or their watch is talking to them, or their foot is a shoe or their shoe is a phone that rings and they answer their shoe. I mean, it's funny, and they use it in comedy acts, but it's legit. Hypnotism is a real thing. I personally think that's how the demonic works. They don't necessarily have forceful power over you to come upon you and make you do things, but they'll start to synchronize with you. And they synchronize with where you believe lies about yourself already, especially if there's areas of weakness and offense or sinful behavior that causes you to be carnal in your thinking and your heart hard toward God. You'll start to, that soulish and physical carnal part of you will become in sync with those suggestions. And it's like one of those, they learn this the hard way, that aren't, military regiments, when they march over a bridge, they break rank. And because if they march in step, the flow, the unity, the synchronicity of the steps will create a flow on that bridge, and it breaks. Did y'all know that? Yeah, and it's history. They break rank and just walk across a bridge so it doesn't get. I see that's how the enemy works. He comes in, they come in, they start lying to you. They can't just make you do things. Now, some people disagree with my perspective. I've been possessed 100%, wrote a book about it. I'll give it to you on your way out if you haven't read it yet. But I'm not saying that makes me the authority, but I kind of understand a little bit of insight about it. This was pre-Jesus, not yesterday. It wasn't yesterday that I was possessed, just so you know. I wasn't saved as a kid, Anyway, that's a long story. But they'll suggest and get in harmony with your hurts and your offenses and your sinful, destructive behaviors to the point that destruction happens, right? And if you agree with it, but you can stop. You can break away from the suggestion by doing exactly like what Tori talked about this morning. Allow the words of Christ to richly dwell within you, to the point that you actually believe the truth about who you are in spirit, so that you're not thinking and living according to your old man, but you're putting on the new man. That's how you defeat the enemy. Put on the new man. Amen?